Good morning, good evening, good afternoon, wherever you are in the world. This is John with Tommy's Top Picks, here to bring you your weekly Flesh and Blood market update. Yeah, today we're going to talk about the market moves. There's been a few things worth noting. I apologize in advance, I still haven't gotten heavy hitters onto the charting yet. It will happen. It's not like there's a lot going on, but it is showing some trends. I mean, we saw 4.8% down. So I need to get it on the charts. I'm still sick, and so once again, this will probably be pretty quick. And yeah, let's get into it because I don't know how long I'll last. All right. So first and foremost, Mon Unlimited boxes down 7.84% to 51 from 55. We've seen a downward trend for 2 weeks now in a row. We got to keep an eye on this one. Now we are above the previous kind of baseline. If you go back a few months, it's 47 for a while there. So it's not unusual to be in these ranges. We've been bouncing around. We had a nice uptrend there, I think, around the Angelaris now that it is out and not just dominating the entire meta. I think that's clear now. Prices are reverting back to where it was. So I think that's really all that's happening there. Nothing really particularly special about it. So hang out in that 40 to 50 range, I imagine, once it decides where to settle, unless somebody destroys everyone using an Angelaris. And then, of course, it will spike again because that's how the meta and the markets work. All right, moving on. Tales of Aria up 48.33% to 60 from 31. Yes, there was a $31 box. I did check for shipping. There was no additional shipping to it. It was a ridiculously low box. It was only one box. Actually, I think the shipping was $2 and it was a $33 sale, something like that. Whatever it was silly. Point being, it went away really quick. Like by the next day, it was gone, which is not surprising because it was an out of like weirdness sort of price there. But we're seeing the strangeness in the opposite direction. It shouldn't be $60 a box either. It really is though. Oh, what did I do? Here we go. Yeah, 54 plus $4.99 shipping. Yeah, it's a $60 box, and you can see 47.48, 47.48, and that, hey, look at that, $30 boxes. What I say? I told you they were. So there's a $31.99 too. So anyways, I guess it's selling out the unlimited boxes. I don't know, man. This is a weird one. But a 48% jump, that's pretty sweet to $60 a box. I imagine more will be put on the market if it exists, if it did not get burned at the warehouse, which is a possibility that we're not sure of. I just realized I failed to mark this one. This is a big one. Arc up, unlimited cases up 8.73% to 424 from 387. We have seen it floating in this area for a long time. It's pretty exciting to see it move up. I'm actually going to run. Oh, it's not going to work for me, is it? Shoot. I'm going to run and check the Arcane Rising box. And let's see what we got here. No, wrong one. Let's just do it real quick. Let's see. Yeah, just wanted to double check on this. This is the case. Of course, I picked the wrong thing. God damn it. There we go. 424. Yeah, all the 387s, 380 range, all gone now. It is just moving up. These unlimited have run out. They ran out a long time ago. They were out of print, out of stock for a long time. And we saw that kind of rise and settle. I think we want to look at the chart for this. But the reality is we're getting our next leg up. It's kind of strange volatility. I imagine some will come to market. I know I have several cases I could dump on the market right now and kind of get in there. I'm not going to do that because I think it has some more room to grow over time, but we will see some volatility as we've talked about in other box prices. So let's give it a little time, but that's pretty exciting jump. I think we're getting to that point where we got to go to the next leg up because it is actually running out. Finally, a product that might actually vanish from the market or be like super rare and uncommon. Tales of Aria down 28.04% to 214 from 274. Again, 274 was ridiculous anomaly. We talked about this last week. It's back to where it was. This is nothing special. It's a big move, but it's only a big move because that was a big move, and that's only a big move because somebody's insane. I have no idea why that's what happened, but that's what happened. Anyways, moving down to the first edition boxes, Outsiders down 17.46% to 63 from 74. This is kind of the range we've been in. As you see back here, we were at 64 for like a month. Nothing really special, a couple of months. And in. We got a little uptick, and now it's back down. I guess cards aren't needed for the current meta. What I would expect is that this continues on either flat or downward trend, just because this is a recent set that is now no longer super popular, not being drafted as much, etc., etc. All the normal reasons for the normal dip, the normal check mark, and that's where we're at with it. It's fine. Dusk Till Dawn, same story, down 12.5% from 81 to 72. I imagine this will follow suit, especially without Angel Laris picking up and winning Road to Nationals, etc. What we can expect, or what I think we should expect, is that this will drift down alongside Outsiders, just slightly delayed. Nothing special there, nothing unusual. Let's see. What do we want to talk about? I guess we'll jump into some singles. Codex of Frailty is still holding up. These Marvels are ticking up for the most part. And Teklovasin, oh man, I hate when that happens. Happens like every week, because I usually have... What? There we go. Teklovasin jumped to 1,200. When we were looking at it last week, it was in that 400 range. And as you can see, oh, I guess someone just pulled a listing, because it was not here before, but no sales happened. Interesting. Someone just pulled the listing, and now it's at 1,200. This is not a price people are selling at, obviously. We see no sales at this price. But 500 is about the range that it was at before, so expect that to be kind of the price. And honestly, it might be somewhere between 500 and 1,200. That's what you often see fill back in, like a 600, 700 will come in as like a, hey, anyone willing to buy at this price? But considering no one bought since the end of last month, it honestly should be this or lower, kind of 480 or lower. Is kind of what I'm thinking, but it wasn't a very open set, so the supply is probably super freaking low and hard to come by. Everything else is kind of sticking where we'd expect. Dragons aren't moving except downward for the little guys. Optimized down at this 95 range. Angels drifting down because they aren't cool. Other codexes are at dismal prices, but they've been there for a while. I still think, as I said with Tommy, getting a young full art and then having the Majestic on the other side using a snap case with a clear sleeve, so you have both sides as a card. I think that's the way to roll, because you have a beautiful art card for very affordable price that you can, show off. And then if anyone complains that you don't have the official card, you just flip it over and say, yes, I do. There it is. Deal with it. And they say, okay. And then you're on to your tournament with some beautiful art in front of you instead of paying $300 for it. 400 in the case of Kasai. So yeah, that's my take on it. Pretty interesting times though. I am curious when the next hat will come out that will dash Crown of Dominion. At some point it will happen. We will see that occur. I don't know if it will be in the next few sets or not, but it does seem to be a factor or a thing that we see happen on a pretty regular basis. Wow, okay, TCG player just crashed. Guess we're not going to go check out the rest of them. All right, time to move on to the charts. It's okay, I wanted to keep it short anyways. What charts did we want to look at? What was actually interesting? I want to look at ARC. I want to see what ARC has done historically, see what this ARC step looks like. ARC Unlimited Cases. We're at ARC. Look at that. Look at that. We're here. Oh yeah. Remember we talk about the check mark. Okay, it's drifting down, and you start to see the first upward trend. And you can honestly say it was from about here. It felt like it. This was like an anomaly drop, and this was still a low. So you'd actually pretend this is part of a downward slope instead of seeing it up here, just because anomalous data. There's noise in these graphs. You're not going to see very perfect graphs because it's not perfect data. It's very delayed data and sparse data. So you're going to get noise in them. So you expect it to continue trend. You average that out, basically pretend it's not there. But we did see this uptick and then flat and then uptick and then another uptick, and now we're booming. Historically, when I was doing a lot of buying for expectation upward movement in the bull market, which is the easiest way to go, this is what I would look for. These little uptick, a little bit more uptick. I would typically buy in this range, probably this range at the latest if I was going to buy. Obviously, when it shoots up, I'd feel like I missed it and it was too late. Now, that said, this will probably retrace back down and we'll still be on an uptrend. That is assuming there's a supply concern or an actual supply issue that is going to show and prove to be a factor that is going to change the market. That's what I expect to see. I'm not sure if we'll see it yet. We'll probably see a lot of jaggy volatility, and then it will step up to the next level, which is one of the things that we like to see. It's a healthy market when that happens. So that was ARC. I guess everything else is pretty straightforward. Nothing really worth looking at the charts for. I would like to drop a quick statement about collectability. I got some really good comments on our podcast. I think maybe I was, well, for one, I was sick, so take that with a grain of salt. My rambling was more rambly and less coherent than usual. But I think the point that I was trying to make about collectability of these, Magic and Flesh and Blood was that single cards, so let's just start with a baseline definition of collectible. Anything's collectible. Humans collected seashells, right? We can all go pick seashells, and I know a lot of people that still collect seashells. Okay, fine. You can collect anything. Yes, absolutely. That's not the point. That's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about the collectibles industry, right? We're talking about the world in which there's a financial structure around collectibles, and that goes back to coin collecting in Roman era, okay? So it's not like it's a new thing. We have a very strong history of what is collectible, and a typical pattern of collectability is a way in which you can place financial value into something that stores it over the long run. That's why gold was collected by ancient Egypt. It was a store of value, right? That's why coins are collected, because there are different denominations, different currencies, different countries, money value. This is back in like the Roman times when they did hoards and stuff. And it allowed you to have mobility in different countries. If you were moving around, you'd have different types of coinage that would be accepted in different areas more easily. So you didn't have to worry about changing and getting ripped off that way, right? And then you have later stage coin collecting, which was about finding the unique coins, the rare coins, things like that. And that's when you get that bit of that speculative, which was mentioned by the commenter, very, very astute component there. And that's where it starts to twist into this. But then you have stamps and all these other things, right? Where it's like the rare stuff that's hard to find, was heavily destroyed, etc., holds value. But generally speaking, when I'm talking about is it collectible or not, I'm talking about the collectible industry. And generally speaking, when you talk about the collectible industry in regards to a financial range of products, right? You have stocks, bonds, equities, etc., right? You have this ability to put money into something. And I'm not talking about as an investment. Put money into something in a way that's differentiated from putting it into something else. I don't think stocks are collectible, and I don't think that collectibles should just go up. What they should do is maintain their value. They should hold value. And if something's really collectible, like a piece of historic memorabilia, right? It should generally stay at the same value as you purchase it, with some, variation here and there, right? A little bit of noise in the market happens, over a long period of time, and a slow trickle up as it becomes rarer, i.e. like a currency note slowly just degrades, and so fewer and fewer in the world, right? Coins, they fall into the ocean or whatever, right? Fewer and fewer in the world. That's why Roman coins are valuable, right? Things like that. But there's certain Roman coins that are not valuable. They're only a couple bucks. You can actually go find them on eBay. It's because they printed the crap out of them, right? They were super common. So point being, when I'm talking about collectible, and what I mean by collectible is one of the key features of something to be collectible, in my mind, if I'm going to spend my hard-earned money on cards or stamps or old money or, I don't know, whatever, anything, seashells, I want it to hold the same value. Seashells, zero value. 10 years from now, zero value, right? Coins, right? Zero, or $1 coin, we'll just say, and X in the amount of time, it'll be worth probably $1 or the value of the metals, right? It kind of stays about the same, with rarity increasing that value, giving it a premium. What we're seeing in today's collectability, and the thing that I was trying to say, and I didn't say it very well, so I totally get the response, and I 100% agree with the response based on what I said. So it's 100% all good. Love the comments and appreciate the feedback. But when I'm talking about it, I'm saying if I'm going to put hundreds of dollars every quarter into a collectible card, a rare card, right? I wish TCG Player's still up, because I'd show you the Marvels right now, right? I want it to maintain its value. Now, it can if it's rare and it has its own need. what I was saying about like Flesh and Blood and Magic is they aren't really doing that anymore, right? You get power creeps. Think of the Arc Knight skull cap, right? You have a new helm and suddenly it's tanked. Think of the heroes and they LL and suddenly it tanks, right? For me, that doesn't feel collectible. That feels like putting money into something that's just going to be worth less. Now, can I collect it like seashells that are pretty on my shelf? Absolutely. Like art, right? Art is very often subjectively collectible, whereas you might have prints and things from all over the world, and I do in my house. I buy art whenever I travel. I have all sorts of stuff from all over the world, and they're very cheap, but they stay cheap. You know, they're not going to go up in value, and I don't expect them to go up in value. I appreciate them for the beauty of it, right? And you can absolutely do that, and anyone who's been on this channel a long time knows that I bought Angels at the highest price, second highest purchase of the, not the Angel, the Dragon, Tumultai, in the history of TCG Player. I pointed it out very thoroughly, and I did it because I wanted it. I wanted to make sure I had art. There's a little FOMO in there too. But I want to make sure I had the art on my shelf, and I didn't care about the price. It wasn't about maintaining a value. I knew it was going to go down from where it was. I just wanted to make sure I had it, and I could look at it, and I still have it. And I will maintain that sort of collection where it's just a piece of art, something beautiful to look at. Absolutely. I just don't want to spend quarter after quarter hundreds of dollars on, you know, super rare cards that then drop in value because they reprint it as a non-foil, because they print it in a history pack with white border, because they then go on to make another dragon or whatever that's the same thing but more powerful with more capability or whatever, or the hero that LLs out and doesn't come back ever again is that type of hero, therefore it's never valuable. That to me doesn't feel like collectible. It feels like a waste of money. It feels like something that you can speculate into, right? There's definitely, that's what Tommy was talking about, and I said that's speculation. Flesh and Blood has a lot of the ability to speculate. It's actually very attractive for speculators, I think, because you just pick the classes that are boring. Buy the M's, the Majestics, and the useful cards is good if you know how the game works, so you can pick out the most useful cards, and you hold on to them until that class comes around, and they will boom, and you can sell into that. Like, that is definitely a thing. So it's structured to be very attractive for speculators and cyclers, you know, people that cycle money in and out different cards with a gain in mind. But as far as like something that just holds value over the long term, it doesn't right now. Now, very good point was made. This is a short-term situation. We do not have a decade of Flesh and Blood yet, right? We have a few years. It's early still. And so everything I'm saying is within context of this short time frame that we have. Yes, Flesh and Blood dominates the world for 2 decades and becomes a 25-year-old game. Then yeah, all that stuff's going to be worth more, right? All of it. It just will be. They'll be rare. The game will be so big, blah, 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 blah. But I'm not interested in collecting for, well, imagine when it's 30 years old, right? Because guess what? Almost no games make it to 30 years. We have one, Magic. And we have one that made it to 25. I think it's 25, something like that. Pokemon. So, given that hundreds of card games have come out since Magic was released, and actually probably thousands of card games, if we're really honest, I know because I've played a lot of them, yeah, I'm not going to pretend that that's a reality that I'm waiting for, right? I'm not going to collect that unless my goal is to collect things that are basically worth the weight in paper. Because I do, and to be fair, I do. Okay, I do actually collect dead card games. I have Wyvern on my shelf. I have Netrunner on my shelf. I have Genesis on my shelf. I have MetaZoo on my shelf. So I have the latest stuff. I have my old 90s stuff. I'm trying to look back to see what else I have. So point being is I do actually collect the things that are worth only their weight in paper, right? And that nostalgia. But I'm not going to pour money quarter after quarter after these beautiful art cards with the idea that they're collectible just to see the value of that all go down and continue to go down over the long run. The structure of the game is inevitably going to push the older stuff down. The LL alone does that, right? The power creep will do that. And the renewal of arts and things like that, right? You might have an Icelander, but Icelander's gone. LL price is down, right? New Icelander comes out. She's going to have a different skill. They're probably going to have a fantastic treatment. And so the newer one will be worth more. And that's what I mean, is that the newest is typically going to be worth more when it comes to Flesh and Blood, at least for now. 10 years from now, we may see a different story, and fine, I'll be wrong at that point. But I just have other things to do with my time and energy and whatnot. And honestly, I've collected what I want to. I have binders full of Marvels and extended arts, literally binders full. So I have collected. I have first edition Arcane Rising case. I have first edition Arcane and WTR cold foils. Like I do have stuff from the earliest era, and I will not be letting that go. I did collect that, and I will hold on to that, and I do think those will hold value pretty well. I just think in this new era, it's not structured that way anymore, right? It's not rare. It's a global worldwide game that's trying to continue to grow as it should, and as a result, the collectability is going to be minimal. We're in the Fallen Empires era, okay, guys? I mean, there's nothing wrong with it, but having been through this ride before, I don't see a reason to put a bunch of money into Fallen Empires because I know what happens. I know how this plays out. It's going to be overprinted. It's going to take a very long time for it to go up in value. And yes, 30 years later, Fallen Empires went up in value. Whoop-de-doo. That's not what I want to spend my time on. And I hope, those out there that love doing that and really do want to wait 30 years for Fallen Empires equivalent in Fab, but like, more power to you. I love it. It's fantastic. It's great for anyone. It's not where I want to spend my time and money. So that's all I was saying. And I appreciate the feedback. Like, I really did. I do like the comments. I hearted them just so people know, like, it is a genuine statement. And again, I was not feeling well when we did that podcast, so I was not able to articulate my thoughts very well. I'm still sick, as you can probably hear in my voice. So it was not the most graceful statement of what I was trying to say. So I apologize for that. And I'm not trying to poo-poo the market at all. I'm just saying we're in an era that is a heavy print for the market, which means low value and downward value trajectory for most things. And so for me, like, if I want to start collecting flesh and blood, I'm going to look for the bottoms, I'm going to look for the boring classes and buy up all the cool, cold foils I can in that or whatever. And I'm not really going to do too much of that because honestly, I don't pay close enough attention to the game at this point to be able to pick it out. Well, I have enough friends that I could find out pretty easily, but it's just not my focus. But there's nothing wrong with other people that want to do it. I was not trying to say it shouldn't be done. We're in an era where the new stuff really isn't holding up like the cold foils of the first 3 sets, basically, and it just won't. That's not how it's gonna go. And I was really sad about Null Rune and those sorts of things kind of dropping in price so much that I just think they're obviated, that's not the right word, no longer of great value or interest to people until that era where it's like 10 years old and now you can't find them anywhere, sort of thing. So anyways, just a few thoughts. I thought I'd clarify because those are some really good comments. I started to write back and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to talk about it because it'll be easier to articulate what I mean. You'll understand what I'm saying as opposed to in text where you don't really get the nuance of me vocalizing my thoughts. So anyways, I do appreciate the comments. Love for further feedback. Feel free to comment below or ping me or whatever. Would be happy to talk more about it and my thoughts on it. But that's just where I think about it. It's just my opinion. Everyone's got an opinion and everyone's got an asshole. You don't need to worry about me, in my opinion, right? And you're welcome to your own. So anyways, I hope you guys are out there cracking packs, playing games, and enjoying this hobby that we all love. Until next time, have a good one.